One of my high school students doesn't exist. My second period is 10F2 mathematics. I sat down and looked at my students expectantly. They were a cheerful bunch, all 26 of them, and I was excited to start teaching. When I noticed at the front of the class, there was an empty seat with no one sitting in it. I turned to the class. Is there a new student I don't know about? What new student? They replied. The one who sits there, I said, pointing at the seat. What new student? Sally said. The one who would sit in that empty seat. Oh, he's not new, someone at the back piped up. Yeah, he gave me his jacket right before class. Others started to pipe in. He's not new, mister. What are you talking about? Yeah, you don't remember him? I was starting to get confused. There was no one who would have ever sat there. And there were only supposed to be 26 students. How on earth were people remembering him? Okay, well, could someone please tell me his name? Silence. This was getting strange, I thought. I'll just check his name on the roll. I opened my laptop, went to my class, and scrolled down all the way to the 27th name. However, I just couldn't make it out. Every time I tried to look at it, my eyes would beg and scream like they were scratching and trying to crawl out, begging me not to look at it. I had to look away. I just couldn't read it. No matter how hard I tried, my eyes started to water, and I closed the laptop. This was ridiculous. How was there an extra student that I couldn't read the name of, who had never been there but everyone remembered? Hi, said a voice coming into the class. It was Mrs. Clancy, a helpful, if not sometimes annoying, old teacher. Here to check up if you have done the pop quiz yet. I had almost completely forgotten about it, but it was something to distract my mind from the strange thing that was currently going on. At least that was something. After grabbing them out of the small numeracy closet I have next to my desk, I handed them out to the kids, who groaned and moaned. 26 tests, one for each student. As the 30 minutes passed, I sat there wondering, with my mind racing, how on earth this was happening. It probably was just some confusion or hysteria. Maybe it was the Mandela effect. As the hour came to an end, I told my students to pass it to a buddy so they could check it off for them. But mister, I don't have someone to pass it to. There were an even number of kids, so it was impossible. I looked up. It was Daniel who had spoken. He was standing awkwardly beside his desk, test paper clutched in his hands. What do you mean you don't have someone? I asked. He always checks mine, Daniel said, glancing at the empty desk at the front of the room. The room went quiet. I felt something cold crawl up my spine. Then pass it across the aisle, I said quickly. Just pair up differently. Daniel didn't move. He's sitting right there, he insisted softly. Why won't you let him? A few students turned to look at the empty chair. There's no one there, mate. What on earth are you talking about? His friends were beyond confused. All right, everyone, let's just stop all this nonsense. Handle your test papers to me, and I'll mark them. All the students lined up, even begrudgingly Daniel, and they eventually handed them in. But as I sat there marking them, I almost knew, like a little voice was telling me, and if I just counted them, I wouldn't find 26. I knew I was right. I looked up. The kids were getting nervous and looking uneasy. I knew something had to be done. All right, everyone. Let's discuss the elephant in the room. Who is this kid? And what do you know about him? His name is Jack. At least I'm pretty sure, says Max. No, it's definitely a girl, someone says. They start arguing about every little detail. No one story align. Anything from he's been here since year 7 to he moved in last term to he barely talks. No, he never shuts up. The stories clashed over each other until none of them made sense. Well, whoever they are, they must be pretty dumb because they were bugging me for answers all test. Sam at the front says. We all turn to her. No, they're not. They're definitely smart. They were helping me with my test last month, Max says. Last month? I repeated. Yeah, he shrugged. When you were out sick. But I wasn't sick last month. So you've met him? Could you at least describe him to us? Met who? Max replied. The extra student. You just said he helped you out last month. Oh God, I did say that. Why did I say that? I've never met him or whoever they are. Max looked genuinely frightened now. His face had gone pale, his eyes darting around like he expected someone to step forward and correct him. A low murmur spread across the room. You did say that, Sam whispered. Okay, I said carefully. Nobody panic. We're just confused. That's all this is. But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Max, I continued, just tell me what you remember about them. He swallowed. I don't remember. Angeline in the back burst out laughing. Oh, sorry, she said, looking at everyone mid-laughter. Just thinking about what Veronica told me. Veronica? Yeah, she was sitting there in front of the class, where that empty seat is now. Don't know where she went though. It was getting more and more confusing by the second. None of you know him. None of you know him like I do, Daniel said, his voice small but sharp at the same time. He hadn't looked up since. He was staring directly at the empty seat. A buzzing started in my ears. Daniel, I said carefully, there is no one there. There is, he insisted. You just can't see him properly yet. Properly yet? My voice cracked. What does that mean? Daniel slowly raised his head. His eyes weren't on me. They were focusing on the outside. He will explain this soon enough. Then you'll all see what you've done to him. What do you? He went silent and stared at the floor, not moving a muscle. The entire class went pale. The atmosphere was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Then all of a sudden, the door started to shake and rattle. The windows looked like they were about to explode. Everyone's eyes, including mine, were forced onto the door. It slowly rattled open to reveal the person on the other side. It was Mrs. Clancy. Hey, I heard you guys talking about the student not in class. Yes, we were. We're just a bit confused. I tried to say it calmly, but my voice cracked, and you could hear the dread seeping in. Oh well, I found them for you. They were wandering outside. I started to sweat as she continued. The little guy must have been lost, but it's good that I brought them back, and you can continue teaching without worrying, she said with a warm smile. The whole room tensed as we heard footsteps getting louder and louder from behind her. They dragged, stumbled, slapped against the door. The tension was becoming palpable, and all of a sudden, all at once, it stopped. Then it walked into the class. It was indescribable. It hurts to even think about it. My eyes were begging me to stare away, begging me to do anything. My whole body was aching, but I couldn't stop staring. I knew I needed to get out, to stop it, or to do something to get me away. Then I remembered the numeracy closet where I kept all the supplies. I used all my strength and mental willpower and pushed myself toward myself, throwing myself into it, slamming the door behind me. Then the scream started. First 1, then 10, then 20. Soon it sounded like the whole school was writhing in agonizing pain, and I knew if I opened the door, I would be just like them. Then all at once, all together, they all stopped and the lights went out. Then I heard it, heavy breathing coming from outside the door. But it wasn't normal breathing. It was something otherworldly, rooting its way into my mind, stinging with every inhale and exhale, trying to get me to open the door. But I knew then it would all stop, but I couldn't believe its lies. I had to grab my own hand still to stop it from reaching the door handle. Sir, you forgot to mark me present. Come on out and continue the lesson. It wasn't like a voice I'd ever heard before. It didn't sound human or even animal. My head felt like it was about to pop. It was the worst, most disgusting sound I had ever heard. Don't you remember all the fun times we had? Don't you remember when Alice spilled all the jelly beans and I stayed to pick them up? All the time on non-uniform day, I wore a hot dog costume. It was so funny. Remember how much fun we had? Ha ha ha. Come on, just open the door. Every single word made my skin crawl. I knew all of this was just a trick to get me to open the door, but the worst part was I remembered all those things. More and more memories were coming back as it was worming its way into my head. I sat there as tears rolled up my face. Minutes, hours, days, I couldn't tell, but eventually I knew it was gone. I opened the door. Everyone was gone. I stepped outside and there were students. All were strangers. Not a single face I could recognize from my class, but at least that was something. I had no other classes for the day, so I rushed straight home. My house is directly next to the school and where all the kids go to leave. As I sit there writing this, trying to put together a sliver of what happened, I can see students starting to go home. Some of them from my class. I don't know what I should do. Is there anyone I can take this to? Should I ask the students about it, or would they think I'm insane? But the worst part about it is out of the students I recognize, I've seen 27 of them. And every time one of them walked past, I swore they stared at me. I think about that thing was telling me and all the memories clashing inside of my brain. Everything felt like a cheap knockoff of a memory. I tried to think of my other students, Sam, Daniel, and the like, but they feel fake. I can't even remember half of their names. God, were any of them real? My mind is already racing. Surely I would have recognized some students outside of my class, but why couldn't I? Please, if anyone has any idea what happened, I need help. because I have the same class first thing tomorrow, and I don't know what I'm going to do if there are more than 26 students.